Hey there, I'm Jessica. You know, life throws you curveballs, and sometimes you end up telling your story to whoever's listening. So, here it goes. I met Tom in college, yeah, that Tom. He was all charming smiles and big talk. He could light up a room, but wasn't much for the quiet, stick-around kind of love that you read about in novels. That was fine by me, at least at the start. We were young, maybe too young, but we thought we knew everything. We married 2 years after graduation. We didn't wait long to add to the family, and soon enough, we welcomed our little girl, Mia. Mia was our sparkle, but even she couldn't paper over the cracks that started showing pretty soon in our marriage. Tom was always more about the next big party or the next fancy gadget he could flaunt. One night, it all came to a head. I remember it clear as day. I was washing dishes, looking out the kitchen window, when Tom barged in, smelling like he'd bathed in beer. "Hey, Jess, check this out," Tom said, waving a brand new watch in front of me, his eyes bright with that kid in a candy store look. "Tom, we talked about this," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "We need to save up. Diapers, baby stuff, maybe a house someday?" "Loosen up, Jess. We gotta enjoy life too. This is nothing compared to what I'll earn soon. Trust me, babe." Trust him, I tried. But hopes don't pay the bills. He was out late most nights, and I was home, singing lullabies and balancing checkbooks. Conversations turned into arguments. Arguments turned into silence. It was rough. You never think about tomorrow, Tom. It's always just you. I finally exploded one evening after he came home with yet another new pair of designer shoes. "Christ, Jess. Why you always gotta be on my case?" "I'm doing my best here," he'd shoot back, his face a mix of anger and something like guilt, maybe. "Your best? We're barely scraping by. And when was the last time you even spent some real time with Mia? She's your daughter too, Tom." It didn't take long after that for us to call it quits. We were burned out, running on empty. When we split, I took Mia and started over. Tom wasn't around much, not that I expected him to stick around. But he did one thing right, he sent money for Mia every month, without fail. I guess that was his way of showing he cared. Mia's 18th birthday was more than just a milestone, it was the beginning of her future. She got into law school and was all set to head off to another city, close to where my mom lived. I was proud, bursting really, and decided to throw a big dinner to celebrate her success. It was also a kind of send-off. I even invited Tom, felt right he should be there, seeing as how he's her dad and all. Tom showed up looking sharp, in a crisp suit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. I gotta admit, it threw me for a loop seeing him like that, all cleaned up and looking successful. "Mia, look at you. College girl now, huh?" Tom grinned as he hugged her, handing over a sleek new smartphone. "For your studies, and, to keep us old folks updated." Mia's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Dad, this is awesome, thank you." She was over the moon, already tapping away on it. We settled down for dinner, and Tom kept the conversation light, but didn't miss a beat to flaunt a little. "Yeah, got a big house now, lots of space just gathering dust. And the job's great, finally feeling like I'm where I'm supposed to be." "That's great, Tom," I managed, keeping my tone neutral. "Sounds like things are going well for you." "Never better, Jess. But hey, you're looking good, really good. Hasn't changed a bit," he added with that old charming smile that once knocked me sideways. I just smiled, shook my head a bit. "Life's been good, Tom. Keeping busy, you know how it is." As the night wore on, Mia excused herself, something about meeting friends to celebrate the start of her college life. Kids, they grow up too fast, don't they? Suddenly, it was just Tom and me, left in the echo of a quiet house. It was strange, almost like stepping back in time. Jess, I've missed this, us." Tom's voice was softer now, almost hesitant. I know I messed up a lot. But I've changed, Jess. really changed. The conversation drifted from the past to the present, and without even realizing it, we slipped back into a familiar ease. It was late when we finally called it a night, but instead of heading out, Tom stayed. And I let him. The night felt like old times, but with a new understanding. Or maybe that was just the wine and old memories coloring my judgment. Morning came with the light creeping through the curtains, laying lines across the floor and across my thoughts. Tom was still there, a rare sight, and it felt oddly comforting. He made coffee, something he never used to bother with. "Jess, about last night," he started, handing me a mug. "I don't know what this means for us, but I'm glad it happened. Feels like maybe we got a second shot here." I took a sip, the coffee bitter and strong. "Let's just see, Tom. One step at a time, okay?" Well, we did it. Tom and we decided to give it another shot. Feels kinda crazy, you know? But there we were, at the city hall, saying our idos all over again. It was just us, Mia, and Tom's mom, Linda. Linda had always been more of a mother to me than a mother-in-law, even after the split. She looked happy that day, hopeful. So did Mia. She was beaming, thinking her folks were patching things up for good. After the wedding, Tom and I moved into his big house, the one he used to talk up at the dinner. It was nice, spacious, more room than I knew what to do with. We settled into life together again, and for a while, everything seemed just fine. Mia visited when she could, always thrilled to see her old home humming with both her parents. A couple of months into our marriage, though, I noticed something off. The joint account we set up was looking thin, way too thin. Bills were piling up, and there wasn't enough to cover them. I brought it up one evening while we were sitting in the living room. Tom was scrolling through his phone, probably checking out the latest tech gadgets. "Tom, we need to talk about the bank account," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked up, his face all innocence. "What about it?" "It's nearly empty. We've got bills, and there's not enough to cover them this month." "What's going on?" Tom's eyes darted away, then back to his phone. "Look, Jess, I've got some troubles at work, okay? It's just a rough patch. I'll handle it." I wanted to believe him, really, I did. But then I saw him posting pictures on social media, new suits, some fancy watch, bragging about living the dream. It didn't add up. "Tom, you bought a new suit last week. And a watch. If we're so tight, how can you afford all that?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. "Jess, you gotta understand, appearances are everything in my line of work. I need this stuff," he said, his tone defensive. "But what about us? About our home? We need to manage our finances better, not just blow through them for appearances," I argued. Tom sighed, putting his phone down with a little too much force. "I get it, Jess. I do. But you're blowing this out of proportion. I've got it under control." But it wasn't under control, not by a long shot. It felt like we were right back where we started 18 years ago, me worrying about the next bill and Tom living like there was no tomorrow. I loved him, sure, but love doesn't balance the checkbook. 2 years. That's how long I waited, hoped, and practically begged for things to get better. But as they say, a leopard doesn't change its spots. Tom was still Tom, and no amount of wishful thinking on my part could alter that. He kept splurging, always on something big and flashy. Gadgets that most people read about in magazines, and cars that most could only dream of driving. He'd parade these toys on his social media like trophies. "Check out the new ride," he'd post, or "just upgraded my tech setup." And sure enough, our friends and his followers ate it up. They thought we were living the high life, that money was no issue. If only they knew. Every month, when I sat down to balance the checkbook, my stomach knotted up. The numbers never added up. While Tom was out there, living it up, I was in the trenches, scraping every dime together just to keep the lights on and food on the table. One day, after I paid the last of our utility bills, leaving next to nothing for anything else, I couldn't keep it in anymore. Tom came home, flaunting some new, ridiculously expensive watch, and I just snapped. Another new toy, Tom? Really? Do you even know how much our electric bill was this month? I threw the bill at him, my hands shaking with anger and frustration. Tom just shrugged, that infuriating nonchalance on full display. What's it to you, Jess? I'm making the money, I'll spend it how I like. It's to me, because I'm the one trying to make ends meet here while you throw money around like it's confetti. I shot back, my voice rising with every word. Why you always gotta be such a downer, Jess? We deserve to enjoy life. Tom countered, his voice thick with annoyance. Enjoy life? Tom, we're drowning here, and you're out there acting like you're some kind of rock star. When are you going to get it? This isn't a game. We have responsibilities. He just looked at me, his face hardening. I don't need this, Jess. I don't need your nagging. I work hard, I should be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. That's just it, Tom. You're not the only one in this family. There's me, there's Mia. What about us? I was nearly breathless, the weight of years bearing down on me. Tom walked away, muttering something about needing space, leaving me there, standing alone in the kitchen, bills in one hand and an empty wallet in the other. It was clear then, clearer than it had ever been, nothing had changed. Not really. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with all the things I wanted to say but couldn't. How could I tell Mia or Linda? I couldn't bear the thought of worrying them, or worse, admitting that I'd made a mistake by marrying him again. The shame of it was too much. Months rolled by, and with each one, my hope dwindled. The realization that Tom might never change became a bitter pill that I swallowed daily. My heart grew weary, my smiles forced. I loved him, once, maybe I still did, but love wasn't enough to fix what was broken between us. Love couldn't pay our debts or teach Tom the value of responsibility. The day my brother called with the news about Mom passing away was one of those gut punch moments. You think you're prepared, but when it happens, it knocks the wind out of you. We had to travel to the city where Mia was studying, where Mom lived, to say our goodbyes. It was a grim train ride, even Tom, who usually filled every silence, didn't say much. Mia met us at the station. She was holding up, but I could see the sadness in her eyes, the same one that was probably in mine. We went straight to the small chapel where the service was held. It was a modest affair, just like Mom would have wanted. No frills, just a quiet goodbye to a woman who had lived a simple, loving life. During the service, I realized Tom wasn't beside me. I nudged Mia, whispering, "Have you seen your dad?" She shook her head, her eyes scanning the crowd. "No, Mom, I thought he was with you." He showed up right at the end, just as they were lowering the casket. His timing couldn't have been worse, or his explanation more lacking. "Problems," he muttered, but we both knew that was a thin excuse. Later that evening, back at Mom's house, where I grew up, the air was heavy with more than just grief. My brother, who was handling Mom's affairs, gathered us to read her will. It was straightforward, the house went to me, and her modest savings to him. But as soon as he finished reading, Tom stood up, his voice cutting through the murmured condolences. "We should sell the house. It's only practical. We'll split the money in half." I was stunned, not just by his words, but by the boldness of them. He was talking about my childhood home like it was just another asset. Before I could respond, Mia jumped in, her voice sharp and clear. "I've been living here with Grandma, and I'm staying. It's not up for sale." Tom scoffed, waving a dismissive hand at her. "Mia, this is adult stuff. Stay out of it." "That's where you're wrong, Dad," Mia shot back, her law books clearly paying off. "Inherited property isn't considered marital property. Mom doesn't have to sell if she doesn't want to." Tom's face turned a shade redder. "Don't lecture me about the law, young lady. And Jessica, if you don't sell, consider our marriage over." The room went silent. Everyone was staring, waiting for my reaction. I felt every eye on me, every heart beating intense anticipation. I stood up, my voice calm but firm. We'll discuss this at home, Tom. That night, as everyone else found their way to bed, the weight of Tom's threat hung over me like a dark cloud. How had it come to this? Lying in my old bedroom, the walls echoed memories of a simpler time, a happier time. The contrast between then and now was stark and painful. The train ride back home felt longer than usual. Tom was on a roll, chattering away about selling my mother's house, calculating potential profits, and planning extravagant purchases with money we hadn't even seen. And think about it, Jessica, with the cash from the sale, we could finally get that new car I've been looking at. We'd have enough left to take that trip to the sea, just you and me. He plotted, his eyes gleaming with every dollar sign he imagined. I barely listened, my attention glued to my phone. I was mindlessly scrolling through social media when I stumbled upon a video that stopped me cold. There was Tom, looking somber and dressed in a sharp black suit, standing at what looked like a grand funeral, definitely not the modest affair we had for my mom. In the video, Tom's voice was heavy with fake sorrow as he spoke about the deep loss of a loved one and how close he was to my mother. The comments below were filled with condolences and praises for his sensitivity. The video had amassed over 1 million views. I felt sick to my stomach. He had the gall to monetize his fake grief while skipping out on the real mourning. I understood then why he'd been missing during most of the funeral. He wasn't stuck in traffic, he was across the cemetery, attending the funeral of some rich guy, using it as a backdrop for his social media theatrics. Jessica, are you even listening? Tom's voice cut through my thoughts, pulling me back to the grim reality of our conversation. Yeah, I heard you, I muttered, keeping my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. We could really turn things around with this, you know? It's a fresh start for us. He was oblivious to my distress, caught up in his dreams of wealth. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the man I had tried so hard to believe could change. But there he was, the same old Tom, spinning lies and seeing dollar signs wherever he looked. Tom, you're in for a surprise when we get home, I said quietly, my words laced with a bitterness I didn't bother to hide. He paused, a flicker of confusion crossing his face, before being replaced by a smug smile. Oh? Finally came around to seeing things my way, huh? I just shook my head, sadness washing over me. It wasn't just the loss of my mother that mourned, it was the loss of what little faith I had left in the man beside me. We'll see, I said, turning my gaze back to the window, watching the landscapes blur by. Each mile taking us closer to home, closer to the inevitable confrontation that awaited us. The moment we stepped through the door and Tom saw Linda, his mother, sitting at the dining table, his confident stride faltered. Linda's presence was unexpected, and her stern expression told him this was no casual visit. What's going on, Mom? Why are you here? Tom's voice had an edge of nervousness I hadn't heard in a long time. Linda's gaze was unyielding as she motioned for us to sit. I think it's time we all had a very honest conversation. Jessica, please, tell me what's been happening. I took a deep breath, the weight of the last few years bearing down on me. Linda, I called you here because things have gotten out of hand. Tom has been spending recklessly, pushing to sell my mother's house for his own gain, and threatening me with divorce if I don't comply. Tom tried to interrupt. Mom, she's exaggerating, it's not like that. Quiet, Tom. Linda's voice was sharp as she turned back to me. Go on, Jessica. His actions are tearing us apart. He's not contributing to our home, and instead, he spends on luxuries we can't afford. He even missed my mother's funeral to attend another, using it to gain sympathy online. I continued, the hurt clear in my voice. Linda's eyes darkened with disappointment. She turned to Tom, her voice cold and hard. You've been living in a house I gave you out of pity, pretending it's yours. I've been paying the alimony for Mia because you couldn't be bothered. You've never really stood on your own 2 feet, have you? Tom sank lower in his chair, his usual bravado nowhere in sight. I felt a shockwave go through me. All these years, I thought Tom had at least done his duty by Mia. I was wrong. Marrying Jessica was the only good decision you made, twice, And yet here you are, risking it all for what? More money? Linda's disappointment was palpable. I need that money, Mom. It's my right. Tom spat back, the desperation clear in his voice. Linda shook her head. It's Jessica's house, and you have no claim to it. You should be ashamed, putting your own wants above the needs of your family. That's when Tom lost it. I don't care about Mia. I want my share, or I want a divorce. The room went silent. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could he say such things about his own daughter? I reached into my bag, my hand steady, despite the turmoil inside. I pulled out the divorce papers I'd been carrying around, just in case. Here. You want a divorce, Tom? You got it. He paled, his eyes wide as he took the papers. You can't do this. I'll demand alimony from you. I couldn't help but laugh, a sad, tired sound. Go ahead. Mia will be my lawyer. The color drained from his face as he signed the papers, his hand trembling. Without another word, he got up and left, the door slamming behind him. Life has a funny way of coming full circle. Here I am, back in the house where I grew up, living a life I couldn't have imagined just a few years back. After the divorce, moving back here felt right. It was my sanctuary, filled with memories of simpler times. The house needed a bit of work, but so did I. Mia, my beautiful, strong-willed daughter, graduated from law school with flying colors. Not long after, she married Ben, a kind-hearted man who adores her as much as I do. They didn't waste any time starting a family, and now, we're all waiting for the newest addition to our family. One quiet evening, as I was tending to the garden, my phone rang. Seeing Tom's name flash on the screen was like stepping back into a past life. Jessica, hey, it's me. Tom, he said, his voice a mix of embarrassment and desperation. Tom? What's going on? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. I'm in a bit of a tight spot. Got some debts that are piling up. I was wondering, could you spare anything? Anything at all would help. I had to stifle a laugh. After everything, he still thought he could ask for money. Tom, you've got to be kidding. You're asking me for money? It's not like that, Jessica. I need some help. And, well, what if we tried again? Really gave it another shot? I almost dropped the phone. Tom, are you out of your mind? Marry you, again? After everything? I think it's best if we just stay apart. Shaking my head, I went back inside. Mia was in the kitchen, baking something that smelled like heaven. Her husband, Ben, was with her, laughing at something she said. Who was that on the phone, Mom? Mia asked, looking over her shoulder. Oh, just your father, believe it or not. Wanted money. And, get this, proposed to me again. He what? Again? Mia chuckled. What did you say? I told him no, of course, I replied, joining in the laughter. It felt good to laugh about it, to feel so far removed from the life I had with Tom. The laughter died down, and Mia's face softened. You know, Mom, you're really something. You've handled everything with such grace. Thanks, honey. It hasn't always been easy, but I've got a lot to be thankful for, I said, glancing around the old kitchen, feeling a wave of contentment wash over me. Later that evening, I called Linda, Tom's mom. She'd been a rock for me, even after everything that had happened. Jessica, how are you, dear? Linda's voice was always so warm. I'm good, Linda. Just had a call from Tom, though. He's not doing so great, asked for money, and even proposed again, I said, still incredulous. Oh, dear. That boy never did learn. But you're okay? She asked, concern coloring her tone. I'm fine, really. We're all fine here. Mia's expecting, did I tell you? Oh, that's wonderful news. I'm so excited to be a great-grandmother. You tell Mia I'm knitting as fast as I can. Hanging up the phone, I felt a sense of peace settle around me. Life had thrown its worst at me, and here I was, surrounded by love and family, looking forward to the future. As I watched Mia and Ben from the window, talking and laughing under the setting sun, I knew deep down that this was where I was meant to be, free from the past, hopeful for what was yet to come.